In this exercise, we are being asked to solve a system of equations by elimination. And what that means is linear combinations. We looked at before. It's a similar process, and we have terms that aren't to the first degree. The process is essentially the same. We multiply different rows by values to where we can add the other row to eliminate one of the variables. So in this case, we're given x squared plus y squared equals 9, and x squared minus y equals 9. So we can see right off the bat these x squared terms, they both have a coefficient of 1. So in order to eliminate the x squared term, all we would have to do is multiply one or the other by -1 and then add it to the other row, the other equation. So we're going to multiply our second equation by -1. That's going to leave us with the same first equation. So x squared plus y squared equals 9. And then our second equation multiplied by -1, we're multiplying both sides by -1, would be negative x squared plus y equals -9. And now we'll simply add the two equations. X squared plus negative x squared, or x squared minus x squared, is 0. Y squared plus y is going to be y squared plus y. And then 9 minus 9 is going to be 0. If we factor these out, we get, there's a common factor of y, so factor out the y and we get y times y plus 1 equals 0. That means y equals 0 or y equals -1. So now we need to see what happens when y equals 0 and when y equals -1. So with y equals 0, we can substitute that into either equation at this point. When y equals 0, we'll substitute into the first equation, x squared plus 0 squared equals 9. So x squared equals 9. And again, this is when y equals 0. If we put it into the second equation, we get negative x squared equals -9, which also means x squared equals 9. Now, taking the square root of both sides, x squared equals 9, we get x equals plus or minus 3. So when y equals 0, x equals plus or minus 3. That gives us the points -3, 0, and 3, 0 as solutions. Now, what about when y equals -1? So let's look at y equals -1. We'll substitute that into the first equation as well. So x squared plus y squared, so -1 squared, equals 9. Simplifying, we get x squared plus 1 equals 9. X squared equals 8, subtracting 1 from both sides, which leaves us with x equals plus or minus the square root of 8, which equals plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2. That leads to the solutions -2 times the square root of 2 0, or I'm sorry, -1. That was our y value. And 2 times the square root of 2, -1. So there are 4 solutions to this system of equations, x squared plus y squared equals 9, and x squared minus y equals 9. -3, 0, and 3, 0, and -2 square root of 2, -1, and 2 square root of 2, -1. We already know that those work in the first equation to check, we could substitute into the second equation. So with -3 and 3, 0, x squared in both cases is going to be the same. -3 squared and 3 squared are the same. So -3 or 3 squared is 9, minus 0 equals 9. So those check. And then with -2 times the square root of 2 and -1, well, -2 times the square root of 2 squared would just be 8. Same thing with 2 times the square root of 2. So 8 minus -1 equals 9. So those two solutions check as well.